Hello, adventurers! My name is Chance, welcome to my spellbook, and thank you so much for taking a look at the 37th episode of our background series. Today we're going to be looking at a really neat one, very strong as well. We're looking at the Orzhov Representative. And this is found in the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica book, so you know it's got some real power to it. If this is the first time you're watching one of our background videos, or if you haven't seen them all in its entirety and you'd like to, please check out the full playlist by either clicking on that little eye icon up top there, or waiting until the end of the video and checking out the end card. In any case, let's dive into its description here. The prospect of immense wealth is the promise of membership in the Orzhov Syndicate. All of the guild's endeavors channel wealth from Ravnican society into the ranks of the Orzhov, and concentrates the spoils at the top of the hierarchy. Basically, you run the world's biggest mafia and or pyramid scheme, I guess, depending on how you look at it. There's a lot of lore regarding all of the Ravnican guilds, so feel free to dig into it at your own leisure, but most of you aren't going to be playing in Ravnica, so talk with your DM about it. Taking a look at their extended spell list, man, they got some real prominent ones here. At the cantrip level, you gain access to the Friends and Guidance cantrips. At the first level, you gain Command and Illusionary Script. Second level, you gain Enthrall, Ray of Enfeeblement, and Zone of Truth. At third level, you gain Bestow Curse, Speak with Dead, and Spirit Guardians. Fourth level, Blight, Death Ward, and Leomund's Secret Chest. And at fifth level, you gain Geese. Very good stuff. In terms of notable ones, Command, Zone of Truth, and Spirit Guardians really stick out. Leomund's Secret Chest is also hyper useful depending on the circumstances. Spirit Guardians is an all-around amazing spell, and Zone of Truth leads to some of the most amazing roleplay opportunities, as well as Command just being really limited to your creativity. We do have a video on Command with hundreds of great recommendations on certain commands to use, so please do check that out as well. Now let's move on to its mechanics here. Under skill proficiencies, you'll gain Intimidation and Religion. Intimidations is great to have in almost all circumstances. Religion, slightly more hit or miss. Depending on the world, it can either be one of the most useful skills or one of the least useful, so talk with your DM before doubling down too hard. And under languages, you gain 2 of your choice. Sadly, the Orzhov Representative does not have any tool proficiencies, so do bear that in mind when selecting it. Under equipment, you have an Orzhov insignia, a foot-long chain made of 10 gold coins, which is super cool. You also gain vestments, a set of fine clothing, and a pouch containing 1 platinum piece. That's right, one of the richest backgrounds, bar none. Very incredible stuff. Now let's move on to its feature here. This feature is called Leverage. You can exert leverage over 1 or more individuals below you in the guild's hierarchy and demand their help as needs warrant. For example, you can have a message carried across a neighborhood, procure a short carriage ride without paying, or have others clean up a bloody mess you left in an alley. The DM decides if your demands are reasonable and if there are subordinates available to fulfill them. As your status in the guild improves, you gain influence over more people, including ones in greater positions of power. I really like this because it is a feature that scales based off of quest milestones. I really like that. What that does is it guarantees the more you invest in your character's particular plot, or at least whatever group you're part of's plot, the more power you and your party will amass. Really good stuff. I really like it. It's left open-ended enough where you can have your DM rule whether or not things are okay, which is really nice because it makes it so you're not limited by any real capacity outside of the effort you put into that particular group. Really nice stuff. Now let's move on to some suggested characteristics. Under personality trait, I am always willing to act in accordance with the financial incentive offered. Under ideal, wealth, I will do whatever it takes to become as rich as the oligarchs. And this takes you towards an evil alignment, which is interesting. Under bond, I value my worldly goods more than my mortal life. And under flaw, I'll brave any risk if the monetary reward is great enough. This is just a greedy, greedy player, which is okay and actually makes the Dungeon Master's job way easier, because to provide enough justification for a party to do a particular job would just boil down to strictly financial incentive in this particular character's case. However, with that being said, as a house rule, I always make it so party members cannot steal from each other. They can trade and they can barter and they can gamble, however they cannot steal. I would recommend every DM do this for one reason or another. It's not very railroady for one, but it will likely help guarantee that your group is on good terms IRL for the duration of the campaign, which is certainly the end goal of most Dungeon Masters. In any case, let's move on to my personal thoughts. I really like the Orzhov representative. I think most of the Guildmaster's guides to Ravnica backgrounds are quite strong. Some have called them overpowered, and I think they have a very strong argument for making that claim. Taking a look at the spell list here, or the extended spell list rather, there's a lot of really good gems in here, but a lot of them rely on player ingenuity as well as roleplay and the circumstances themselves. That being said, it's pretty good regardless. Taking a look at their mechanics, the lack of a tool proficiency is a little bit of a bummer and may dissuade quite a few people. However, the 2 languages is quite nice, and intimidation is also great, not to mention the significant amount of gold you get for picking this particular background. Moving on to the feature, is just really great. I've already said I'm quite a big fan of it. It incentivizes plot investment and quest advancement, which is certainly good, especially if you have more of an open world style of DMing. Suggested characteristics are nice. A lot of the Guildmaster's guides to Ravnica backgrounds have great characteristics to choose from, and they're flavorful enough in their context and have enough lore outside of D&D where you can come up with some incredibly creative player concepts. Overall, I really like it. I think it's a good choice. Whether or not you allow the Ravnican backgrounds in your game is purely up to you, but for this particular one, I think it's well worth the risk. In any case, let me know what you think of the Orzhov representative down beneath in the comments section. Be sure to mention any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns you have regarding it. And of course, if you have any cool ideas or character concepts, I'd love to hear them, along with any stories you might have. And if you'd like to gain access to a free one-shot, please go to the Guild Hall and use code WELCOME to do that. With all of that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, happy adventuring.